Hi, I'm Joanne Scott and I'm associated with Shake It Up. I'm also running for council in the Windrush ward in Brixton.
Great. So what is Shake It Up and what are the plans that Shake It Up has? How is it going to shake things up?
It's going to completely shake things up because we're bringing back true democracy, not someone who listens as much as they speak. So we're going to be, Shake It Up's going to be holding citizens' assemblies where the community can have their say, where we can discuss decisions and ask the councillors to take action based on what the community have said, so their voice, not ours.
So you have independent councillors, and if they get in, you're going to try and create these parallel meetings where members of the public come, right? And then the councillors will sort of pledge to do what the people say in those meetings. Is that the idea?
Absolutely.
Okay. And how long is this going to take, do you think? You're going to be able to implement it as soon as you get in, or?
I mean, not immediately, but quite soon too, when I get in. And I like that.
And how are you going to select the people for the meetings?
Well, it will be done by sortitions, so nobody will be left out. We're going to get people that represent every demographic and, of course, ability. Even the homeless will be included in these assemblies.
And do you think that the other parties who are in the council are going to like this idea? Are they going to resist it, or are they going to go along with it?
I think we've had some good feedback from other parties, so yeah, I do think that they will be interested, and I feel like they will collab, and yeah, it'll be good.
Hi, I'm Harry O'Donoghue. I'm part of Shake It Up Lambeth, which is kind of trying to bring direct democracy, citizens' assemblies to Lambeth on the local level, on the council level.
Interesting. So, are you yourself running for council?
Yeah, I'm one of the candidate in Clapham Park.
Okay, and if you get in, what's the plan in terms of introducing more direct democracy?
We'll hold the citizens' assembly via sortition, and we'll gather kind of a roughly equivalent number of people to the real constitutional council. The timeline for that, probably, I don't know, several months after the election, depends how many of us get in, but certainly within 6 months we'll try and get that started.
Okay, so the idea is you'll have these parallel assemblies, and how are you going to sort of put names into the hat?
We're going to do it geographically. We're just going to knock on doors and hit people in specific areas, ask them would they be interested to try and get kind of a completely random, not electorally role-based source pool to draw from, and then we'll do the relevant, kind of ethnic and gender and socioeconomic status work to get them even.
Great. So if you get in, you're imagining that you as councillor will be at these meetings and people are going to be saying to you, do X or Y, or this is what we want. And are you going to do that in every case, or are you going to sometimes decide to follow it or sometimes not, or what's the story there?
Well, I suppose I'd say 95% of the time. I guess it's a case-by-case basis. But yeah, I imagine, I think a lot of us like to think our politics is where the normal person is, and that isn't reflected. Rather than maybe it'll be a rude awakening, but I think that's the case. And
so that's
if no, yeah.
Hi, my name's Tara. I'm running for Councillor Mitesford Ward, and our movement is Community Assemblies with Shake It Up.
Interesting. So what is the idea behind Shake It Up?
So Shake It Up was formed just based out of frustration of the local council. They tried to go to Lambeth and talk about the homelessness issue within Lambeth, and the doors were shut in front of them, and they just thought, you know what, if you can't fix it from outside, let's fix it from within. They went around multiple communities and just asked people, do you want to be a councillor? I just decided to say yes, because I too am fed up with our local councillors and just Lambeth in general.
Interesting. So how are you fed up? What's the main thing that frustrates you with the system as it works at the moment?
With me, it's mostly housing. I just have some house issues. I've gone to Lambeth multiple times. My dad has gone to Lambeth multiple times. And we've just said, please come and help us. And they've come multiple times, taken pictures, and never come back. So I just thought, you know what, let me just put myself in and truly understand why they're not actually doing something and what's the reason for them not to do it, essentially.
So how do you think your new system, or the one that you're proposing, is going to change things?
I think this new system will change things because it's based on what the community wants. Right now, Lambeth just does things with what they assume the community wants, like getting rid of the telephone boxes. If you cycle, then you realize how terrible the roads are and how there's so many plot holes. I know some people drive and they are constantly changing their cars, and it's expensive to change wheels, car wheels. Also, when it comes to just children in general, children of poor background, they can't afford school meals. It's like Lambeth will put money into certain areas when there's so many other areas that need to be prioritized. So if you have community assembly, the community can come to us and say, please help us with this and that concern. And we just say, yes, we're going to prioritize this first, we're going to prioritize that second, because that is what you want and that is what we will do for you because we work for you.
Okay, so final question. So what if you set up these assemblies and people come to the assemblies and they have all these views that you really don't like, and they say let's run all the migrants out of town and that kind of thing. What do you do then?
When it comes to Brixton and Brixton as a whole, I don't think people will say that. We're such a diverse community. People move from multiple countries, Spain, Ghana, Colombia, all to live here. And if you go into the Brixton Market or even Brixton Plaza, you just see all this diverse community. I do understand that some people may have different opinions, and a lot of people may have different opinions in the community assemblies. But once again, like I said, we are working for them. So if there's something that they don't like, we will do it, but I doubt it would be a case of immigration. This ward is not very a quote-unquote reform ward. We do very much like our neighbours, and we do very much want Brixton to stay Brixton, which is essentially just such a diverse and beautiful community.
Yeah, my name's Roger Hallam. I'm a campaigner, and I'm part of something called Assemble, which is an organisation that helps set up assembly projects around the UK. And here in Brixton, we've been running assemblies under the title of Shake It Up.
Great, so you've got some candidates, independent candidates on the Shake It Up slate, I guess. And what are your plans for introducing more direct democracy should those candidates get into the council?
Yeah, well, the plan has been to use local assembly events to choose candidates and to create programmes with the community making the decisions rather than with a political party. That's already been done. If the candidates do win this Thursday on the local elections, then they will follow the outcomes of a community assembly process. So the plan is to use sortition, i.e. select people randomly from the wards in Lambeth, the 25 wards, and to replicate the constitutional conventional council with another council. So both councils have 63 members. The main council has 63 members, so the alternative community assembly will have 63 members as well, but will be reflective of all the different types of people in Lambeth. They'll make decisions on various areas of policy, and then the councillors who are voted in as independents will follow those policies.
Okay, so you're going to do a kind of stratified sampling, I guess, and you're going to look at what, income and ethnicity and sex, or
yeah,
what?
That's right, on those different demographical criteria, and obviously it's not going to be perfect, but it will be substantively reflective, as you might say, of the different types of people in Lambeth.
And who gets to go into the pot, did you say? How do you select the people that you're selecting from?
Yeah, so how the process we're thinking about is there's 25 wards in the borough. So some of the wards have 3 councillors, some of the wards have 2. So we'll select 3 or 2 people from each ward, depending on its size. So that will give geographical diversity, as you might say. And then within each ward, we'll randomly select like 5 or 10 streets, and we'll door knock those streets and ask people if they'd like to participate in a community assembly on a regular basis for, say, 6 months initially. And if they accept that, we'll aim to get, say, 300 or 400 people, and then out of those 300 or 400 people, we'll randomly select the 63 people, so that there's 3 or 2 people from each ward, and also that those 63 people reflect the different genders and backgrounds and ages and what have you, demographical criteria of Lambeth as a whole.
Interesting. Okay, final question. So you said that your candidates are independent, but they're also progressives. What happens if you have these assemblies and people come and they just put forward a lot of very unprogressive views? Will your candidates then try and argue for those in the council, or what?
Yeah, well, at the moment, this is being created in Lambeth, which is a fairly consistently progressive sort of borough. But the idea, obviously, is to use this template as a way of animating and participatory democratic processes in other progressive areas of the country. So the idea is not necessarily to go into the most right-wing parts of the UK, at least initially. The idea is to start creating a sort of workable template of how the community can be involved in making decisions. I think, as you're probably aware, there's two main answers to your general, the general criticism of these things. The first one is that people do actually tend to change their minds when they are respected and able to deliberate in a free and fair way with small numbers of other people. And that generally, not absolutely obviously, but as a general rule, that people move more in a more pro-social general direction. That doesn't mean everyone's going to agree with each other. But the other aspect of it is creating a more general culture based upon the quality of relationships rather than the exercise of power. And these are very two different paradigms of looking at how humans relate to, operate in social spaces. I mean, it's not naive in the sense that obviously some people are motivated by power. There are psychopaths in the world and such like. But as a general rule, most humans, most of the time, will be pro-social if they're put into environments where they are enabled to act in such a way. And that's the idea, is to create those environments which will create those relationships, which then, as a general rule, will create a more respectful, politics.